Rio, we're gonna bring in the rest of the team. We're gonna bring in DC's People's Champ, and we're also gonna bring in Dugenet, and we're gonna talk about this game. The news only gets better on this show as we continue to talk Washington sports. Oof. Oh man. All right. I mean, everyone knows Ken. Everyone knows Dugenet. Rio, new to the show. I love your YouTube channel. I think you've got some great content. I found you out because you did a wonderful segment on Dugenet's show, and I was watching that one, and I really loved your breakdown and your thoughts. And so I thought that we'd bring you into the fold and have a conversation, especially going into the bye week, about some of that stuff. But I want Rio, just give like the quick elevator pitch. What's your show about? What's your channel about? And let people know who you are, who might be new to following you.
Okay, my name is Rio Robinson. I do a very Washington Commander centric YouTube channel from a fan's perspective. I'm very outspoken. I'm very unfiltered. The show's called Rambling About Washington, which is raw because that's how I give it up on my channel. I say things from the lens of a fan. I do not like try to pretend to be media. And I'm a fan that's there. I'm a fan ambassador. I go to as many training camp sessions, practice events, and I'm there at every home game all year. So I'm a pretty plugged in fan as well. And we like to have fun. We like to entertain, and we like to talk all things Washington Commanders because I have the burgundy and gold sickness. This team has done nothing but let me down in my 32 years of life, and I keep signing up for more pain. I love it. I live it. And that's what we do on my channel.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a little spin around my man cave since you're new to it. I've also been a fan for a very very long time. You can see that there, and we've got all of the different teams that I've gotten to root for, different names. This show's been around since they were the Redskins. We've talked about the Washington football team. We're here for the Commanders, so I bleed with you. One fun fact, just so that you know, I was born during a Redskins Cowboys game, and we came back and beat the Cowboys on that day in 1984. So, so I guess it's 30.
I was 9 the last time the team won a Super Bowl.
Wow.
I'm 41.
I was 3 months old. I wasn't even crawling yet. I came in 3 months before the Buffalo Super Bowl. I like to blame myself for our downfall. The team was good before I came here.
Right. Well, at least you were alive for one, right? So, but it's definitely rough for sure. Being a Commanders fan. I'll get your quick take on it, and then I'm gonna get Dugenet, and then I'm gonna get Champ's take on this debacle against a Miami team and the amount of fans that were there. I just had to start there. It was all blue, and everyone I talked to, there isn't even that many Dolphin fans, but I guess like all of them that existed decided to descend upon us on this weekend, and it looked like it was a home game for them, to be totally honest. And yeah, I would tune it in, and then I would tune it out. And then I would tune it in for a little bit more, and then I would tune it out to try to like preserve my heart. And I'm like, every time I tuned in, they would score another touchdown. I'm like, I'm out. And then I would get sucked back in like 15 minutes later. Maybe I'll check it in again. And then they'd score again, or an interception or something. And so it was a very choppy how I watched it, but nothing was good about it. But Rio, give your opinion on this game.
I was there, unfortunately. I did my home game routine of getting to the stadium about 9:30 to go tailgate. I like to get in as much tailgating as possible because as a Washington fan, that's where all the good vibrations stop. Because as soon as the game starts, you're immediately humbled by the result of the game. We haven't won a home game since week 1. That was September 10th. We're almost at December 10th right now. It's been a couple months since a home game was won in Washington. I didn't know Miami Dolphins fans existed, especially outside of South Beach. They barely show up to Hard Rock in the Miami Heat game. I thought all Miami sports fans left after LeBron went back to Cleveland, but apparently 50,000 existed in the DMV because at my stadium yesterday, it had to be a 70-30 split, Miami Dolphins fans to Washington fans. It was a sea of teal and orange. It was embarrassing, but the game went exactly as I thought it was going to go because we didn't really stand a chance with Miami yesterday.
Yeah, no, none of us last week gave us a chance in this one. Miami's good. I mean, they're a good, solid team. Our defense is coached by a brand new coach. I know he is the coach of the team, but I mean everything changes when you get rid of a defensive coordinator. So I'm gonna use that.
Not here.
No, it don't.
Not here. Not here.
No, it don't.
But I mean, just in a scenario in which you would hope to improve, you would hope that it would, I guess. But it did not in this game, I would say. But DJ, I'll let you break down if you thought there was any difference that you saw or what your thoughts are in general about this game.
No difference. Same old. This team has the mantra of its coach, Ron Rivera. There was no difference in the whole entire play calling on defense. Same vanilla. I'm going to beat my head against the wall, even though I'm getting my balls kicked into my stomach. But I'm going to keep doing it because, hey, that's what we do around here. Like I said, I've said this weeks ago, locker room is lost. And then they really lost the locker room when they traded away 2 guys. I didn't like the trade. I get it, but I don't like it. And we still see this thing steamrolling out of control. It must be nice to be a fan because as media, I have to watch the whole entire thing. So yeah, nothing new, just the same old. And as we look down the schedule, doesn't look like this team's going to win another game.
Good.
Maybe
Exactly. Don't hurt the draft pick, right, Rio?
That's where we're at the season at this point. I'm draft pick watching. I'm watching the Arizona Cardinals and New England Patriot game to see if we can jump higher than 4 and get to 3 in the draft. That's where we're at this point.
Right. Arizona actually did win yesterday. That surprised all of us in the pick'em pool. So
keep winning.
Yeah. It's been so Rio, we do a fun little thing where we all pick every week all the NFL games because I can't do fantasy because I don't want to root for any other players other than Washington or Baltimore. It would be my secondary team, but if they're not in those 2 teams, I don't want to root for them, so I can't do fantasy. But we like to do pick 'em, and so it's fun that we pick all the games every week for fun as a podcast network and all the different other podcasts that are part of it. So we'll have to get you into doing it next year because it's super fun. And right now, Dujanet and I are tied at the top, right? And with my father-in-law, who's a really good picker. But I got to give Sith massive props. He had a really great week, so he's catching up to us. But it's been really fun to sort of see. It's an excuse to get to watch some of the rest of the NFL. But I'm gonna get Champ in here. Champ, what are some of your thoughts on this week in football?
This is my Brett Favre game. If you know, you know. So I was alive after we won our last Super Bowl when we had Richie Pettibone as the coach, and we were a god-awful dumpster fire of a team. I'm getting those same vibes from this team, even though the record is nowhere near what that one was. It was 2-14, a year after we were the best team in the NFL. We went from the best team in the NFL to absolute dog crap. And I get the same vibes from this team. Dujanet said it already. This locker room is lost. They don't believe in Ron Rivera no more. You fired Jack Del Rio and it did nothing. The defense went out there and got cooked by Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill cooked you for 2 60-plus yard touchdown passes.
Playing a man. Come on, bro.
Tua could have had 300 yards had they not pulled him in the 4th quarter, which would have helped my fantasy team because I have him as my starting quarterback, by the way. Tua would have had 300 yards had they not pulled him. Yep. This team absolutely got cooked by the Miami Dolphins. My brother posted something on Facebook early on in the week when he shared a post that said that it was going to be a sellout. And he said, how many Miami fans are leaving warm Miami to come to a 50-degree stadium to cheer on their team? Clearly enough of them, because they came and did what they had to do. They came into our backyard, pooped on the carpet, and left us to clean it up. That's basically what they did. Bottom line, this team is lost. And Robbie, you've known me on this podcast long enough. You know I never advocate tanking. I hate the word tanking. I hate it. But for the first time in the history of this podcast, I, Kenneth Anton Washington Sr., a.k.a. DC's People's Champ, is advocating that this team tank the rest of the effing season. because this season is lost.
You don't even ask for it. We're going to lose organically. We don't even
but either way, take the rest of the season, get a high draft pick, bring someone in here, bring some people in here that's going to make this thing happen, and let's get this thing put back together. I never advocate tanking, but for the first time I am. Because I'm getting the same vibes as 92-93 when we went 2-14 a year after winning the freaking Super Bowl. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's tough to be a DC sports fan. I always said I would go through the ups and the downs, right? We've gotten to cover championships and we've gotten to cover some pretty bad teams.
I wish I knew what the ups felt like. I don't know what the ups felt like.
Right.
Like, I would never be accused of being a fair weather Commanders fan because I've never seen the weather fair. I've never seen it. I've never been a part of it. Like, we can't even tank right now because we're not good enough to try to lose because we're going to do it naturally. We're just a bad football team. We should finish 4-13 this year.
I'm telling you, Rio.
That we all thought we were going to do well, though. A lot of us thought that this was going to be a good season. I thought we would just go on this crazy run at the end of the season and catch fire. And
I'm glad we're not, though. Like, this is a win because we still got Snyder out of here this year, and we still have owners who are going to finally put their imprint on the team in January when everybody's canned and they have to hire new people. So that's the win in this season. But this is probably the best way Ron's tenure in Washington could have ended. No more middling 7-win seasons, making us pick 18th in the draft when we should be picking top 5. This is the way we should have ended this era. And I'm glad it's going this way, even though it sucks being there in the presence of 45-10 in person.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. It's hard because I don't even know where we go from here. You know what I mean? We're already excited about the draft, with 6 games left, it's hard being a fan and getting up for, this is a bye week. So we're not really getting up for anything this week, which I'm thankful for. They can't lose on my birthday weekend, which is the blessing,
They'll find a
way. Y'all gotta understand, I had to watch this Miami game in the presence of my mother, my brother, his girlfriend, and my niece, and just sitting there watching them just absolutely just get roasted. And all I could do, and my son, by the way, who's kept sitting there watching like, oh, we're losing, because he's growing into a Commanders fan. And he's just sitting there like, we're still losing. And I said, yes, son, we're still losing. We're still losing. I had a good dinner though. So it was still a W, but hey.
You had that.
I have to go back to something that Rio said earlier, because when I was a season ticket holder, the tailgates were my favorite part. And at least, in 2012, we kind of caught fire with RG3 and then random cousins and all that sort of stuff. And we had a decent season. We made the playoffs. We won the East or whatever. But still my favorite moments of that season were the tailgates, and I think it was either that year or the year before where we beat the Cowboys when the clock struck midnight as the fog rolled in on a Sunday night football game to start the season. I don't know if it was that year or the year before.
It was the year before.
That was the year before. But yeah, so those are 2 of my favorite moments, but over a 5-year period, that's not that really pinnacle or that's.
Rio, be lucky you were a toddler during the Heath Schuler, Gus Frerotte days.
Oh, that was so bad, wasn't it?
Dude, oh my
goodness, that was so bad.
It's what I've lived. It's what I've lived through in the 2000s. It's the same. It's copy and paste. It's copy and paste. John Beck, Rex Grossman, Patrick Ramsey, Danny Werfel, Shane Matthews. It's the same thing. It's one repeated cycle of meh. That's what.
But it started with Heath Schuler and Gus Frerotte.
My favorite was Gus Frerotte, where he hit the head into the fucking wall.
Concussion. Concussed himself.
Sunday night football against the Giants, which ended in a tie, by the way.
Right.
I will say this though, as being a little older, Rio. I mean, you couldn't walk anywhere without seeing burgundy and gold. I remember people, you would stand somewhere and, Dallas Cowboy fan, Commander fan, or Redskin fan back then. And there would be just a nice rivalry because there was one. but you never thought in those times up till the Super Bowl, there was never a time where you felt like this ever. And the city was just buzzing all the time. That's what I think fans, especially older fans, really miss. And it's just sad that fans like yourself and others haven't, had to experience that.
Dallas week used to be so electric.
Oh, lit, man. Oh my
Dallas
goodness.
week used to be electric. Like anytime you knew Dallas was on the schedule, the city was on fire. Nowadays, no one cares.
Right.
We're never relevant enough to make it a rivalry.
Exactly.
So we're just there carrying, and they just do not. We're like the ugly step brother of the NFC. They don't even consider us rivals no more. Tyreek Hill is the best receiver, the best weapon in the entire league, the fastest man who's ever played the sport, and they got him manned up with a rookie second-round safety, and they have the other safety shaded to the other side. And the worst part about that touchdown is you can pull that play back and double Tyreek Hill. Devin Achane is going up the right sideline himself. So they have two wide open touchdown options on the same play that would have scored from 70 yards out. Only here in Washington do you see that sort of thing. That's the Ron Rivera way, and this team epitomizes what Ron has been as a coach here. And
exactly.
This is why it's turning out this way.
Exactly.
It's hard because it just don't. Yeah, I think we have the quarterback of the future. I think we need to get some linemen. I think
we might.
Yeah.
Big might.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I think if we could get a line around him and we could get our defense shored up like we thought that we were going to, he could be something, but we have no idea. I just, knowing us, we'll probably pay him a lot down the road, and then he'll be meddling too, so
I don't think you'll have that problem with this ownership, knowing Josh Harris and what he's done in the NBA. They make smart decisions, and you got a guy like Magic Johnson and his whole entire group. I really think they're going to take, I think they're already doing their homework. I don't expect a repeat of what we had, because I know a lot of people are worried about whether Bieniemy should be here or this or that. And my take is, everybody is on the chopping block because really no one has proven anything. Again, I'll go back to what Rio said on his podcast after the game. You got a guy who had 0 catches and Scary Terry. Now, is he a number one now? Because you know what? He hasn't been playing like that. Now, can we say maybe that has a little bit to do with EB not getting him the ball? But how do you not get open to your quarterback once that whole entire game? And they weren't doubling you.
He was just getting covered. He was getting blanketed.
So, it's like all the things that are here. I know people are thinking about, EB and the merit these things, but he really is showing that he's green by, he is a greenhorn. The plays, I talked about it with Mike McCarthy. The one thing about Mike McCarthy he's doing is it's almost like he's writing a story. Each scene, each play is a scene, and it makes sense. It basically follows the next. It tells a story.
There's a plan.
Yes, EB doesn't really seem like he has any type of plan. None of the plays make sense.
None of them.
You see Dallas setting folks up. Look at the Dallas game when they played Washington. They set Washington up for plays down the line that ended up being big plays that resulted in them taking chunks and getting scores. What does Washington set up?
Nothing.
They pretty much, I think Rio can pretty much look at what they're going to do, and exactly what EB's go-to is every week.
Yeah. Dog, I'm 41 years old and overweight, and I could have went out there and thrown for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns against his defense.
Right. I probably could have been a receiver, too.
Right.
I
you and me.
I could call the plays if EB can. EB calls the plays like a person that's not good at Madden. He's not even like a skilled Madden player. He's a player that's not, he calls them like someone who's not good at Madden. And I'll answer that question for anybody who thinks EB won't be here next year either.
No.
That whole coaching staff is probably being shown the door on January 8th alongside the front office of Martin Mayhew and company. They're all gone.
Because what has he shown? That's my whole thing. Yeah. And I don't, as a person that covers this team and what we've seen from Dan, the last thing any fan should be thinking that is that, oh, well, he should keep someone. Nope. What they need to do is they get your office group together with GM, and those guys make the calls of who's going to be doing what.
Not the owner.
Football team. Not the ownership group. Because you know what that smells like, guys? Smells like good old Dan Snyder. Mm-hmm. We don't want any of that here.
I'm glad CP3 is not here, because CP3 would bite your head off about having EB gone next year.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But the bottom line is this. What have you done? And I do not want even as a media person, the last thing I want to see this ownership group doing is pigeonholing somebody in to marry him with someone that a quarterback that honestly, does he have the line to produce the way he should? Maybe not. We all know it ain't that good. But at the same time, when he does have the protection, sometimes he doesn't make the right decisions. So therefore, those two haven't really done a good job. So again, picking people and leaving people in place for some other coach to have to deal with, and then they poop the bed, and you're in the firing mode again, and nothing works. It should be done by the GM, and when they pick that coach, that said coach needs to be doing his own homework to pick his own staff, not some owner or some GM telling him, well, yeah, you're the coach, but you're gonna work with Eric Bieniemy because I said so. The Carolina Panthers owner did the same thing, and look at where they're at, firing a coach that they had no business hiring, and he looks just like Dan Snyder too. So it's like, come on, man, like let the ownership do their job.
I will say this. Magic is tweeting more than Dan Snyder was when he was owner. I will say that. Magic man know what's going on.
This is what Magic does, though. Like, he does this with every sports franchise he's affiliated with. He doesn't even seem like he tweets for himself. It's like an AI generated, like, I didn't watch the game, but let me comment on the box score because I have to tweet. It's his thing he does. I used to always laugh after the Lakers played. Oh, the Lakers played a fantastic game against. It's the most vague, I didn't watch the game tweet of all time. He does it after every one of his franchises play. It is absolutely hilarious. But back to just to piggyback off your EB point, Washington fans, I promise you, I'm not lying to you when I say this. Eric Bieniemy is a bottom 3 play caller in the entire NFL. He called 0% of the plays in Kansas City, and his only other opportunity as an offensive coordinator calling plays came in Colorado between 2011 and 2013, and he was fired because he stunk there. He stinks here. He's not going to be a head coach, and he will not be calling plays in Washington. That's my TED Talk.
Well, I have a question. So who called the plays in Kansas City that he was getting credit for?
Andy Reid. He held the Surface Pro and play call sheet of Andy Reid, and he coordinated. He was not calling the plays in Kansas City. He was not. He's doing the same thing. The guy in Miami right now, Frank Smith, who was a good offensive coordinator, he's doing the same thing he's doing for McDaniel. It's McDaniel's offense, McDaniel's plays. EB is coordinating. Frank Smith is coordinating.
So basically reading off his coordinated chart that he already has scripted, and you just have to go down the list.
Yes.
But he's not going down the list correctly.
Oh, he's got his own list. That list is all mixed up and whatever you want to call that.
He's great at the podium. He's great at the podium. He answers questions very well. He's detail oriented. He knows how to work a room. He knows how to captivate an audience, but it's not clicking there. I know they say he's too hard on player. He cusses a lot and he's very eccentric. That's okay.
Our players are soft for that, by the way.
Thank you.
They are soft for that. But I also think if your system ain't working, you can't talk to players like that.
For
you
real.
got to come in with a cachet and a resume of successful play calling and a system that works. Like, so it's dead or soft. And guys aren't performing, but the system makes no sense. You have a 23-year-old first-year starter throwing the ball 40 plus times a week. When have we seen that? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Don't make sense.
I don't get it. I do not.
It's hard because you just hit your head against the wall. But it's just so interesting because people were so questioning him being overlooked for a head coach, right? There was this whole debate, like he kept on getting overlooked, and then this is what happens when he comes here. And so then maybe people were seeing what was on, something that we weren't seeing. I don't know. It's just weird to me because like he was touted to be this pretty big reason why Kansas City was where it was, but clearly not, or doesn't have the talent that he needs to put in the right place. I'm not sure. What do you think?
I disagree with the talent deal. Only problem he has, and still you can still get around that. There's so I preach this all the time. It's too many times I see coaches pigeonholing and continue to do things that they want to do, and knowing daggone well somewhere in the personnel it's not working. And in the personnel, the media talked about it during training camp. I'm sure other fans saw it, was the offensive line. Now, I would have changed up combinations earlier, but now you've changed up these combinations and they're still not working. So now you have to do something to help them out. And he never does. You're still dropping back 8 to 10, 10-step drops for Sam Howell. And then you're looking around wondering why old boy Wiley is doing lookout blocks, because that's what he does. You can't give him that much time because he's just a lookout waiting to happen.
And that's EB's guy. That's EB's guy he brought from Kansas City.
Garbage.
We made him a priority signing on day one of free agency. EB's guy, he couldn't block either one of us in this podcast right now.
No, at all. It's sad, but they're not making any adjustments to the personnel, which is the offensive line up front, to help anybody else. So when you don't do that, you keep beating your head against the wall, definition of insanity, expecting different results. This is what you're going to get, bro.
This Caps game is getting out of control.
Oh, my God. I got to put up the score bug. Sorry, the all caps. Oof is what this is. We had the power play. We have a man up, and they have now put up 6 goals on 14 shots.
Short-handed goal, man. Yo, the Caps they're getting worked in the desert, bro.
So both goalies have given up 3 goals now on less than 14 shots. I know this is the football segment, so maybe they won't get that, but it's atrocious. I mean, you shouldn't let him 6 goals and 30 shots, no less. Half that, so like, and we have 16 shots. We have more shots than them, and we have a big fat goose egg on the board. So, it's this might be the worst hockey game I've ever watched live during my podcast. So anyway, I just it is what it is. I want to give a quick little shout out to Lobas guy. He does photography. He's the leader of the stream team that I'm now a part of. You can find out more about the web creative community and him on his Twitch channel. So I appreciate him for coming through and hanging out with us. And I'm excited to be a part of this new community. People don't know what that is, but you can have stream teams where people will, you can click on a link and you can see other people that are team members and stuff like that. So I appreciate having the opportunity to be a part of that. And I'll definitely talk more information about that at the end of the show. But yeah, this is a rough one for sure, this game. But I'm gonna put away the score bug again. I just wanted to put the score on the screen.
Feels like the Miami game and the Dallas game. Just saying.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad. And so we talked about that we have the draft to look forward to. I am curious. Do you think, real quick, Rio, are you happy with what we've got at quarterback, or do you still think we should draft somebody to be behind him?
So this is how I feel about the situation. This is when fans, we have to turn off our fan brain and let the football people dictate what happens here. Because this is what would happen if Dan Snyder owned the team. Dan would say, we drafted Sam. I like Sam. Whoever my GM and whoever you hired to be the coach, y'all need to play Sam Howell. What I want to happen is January comes around, they hire a GM, football operations guy, front office, they hire the coach, and in collaboration, they say, we like Sam, but we're going to evaluate the quarterback class, because that's how good football teams handle business. Absolutely. I like Sam Howell. Sam Howell's put some good things on tape. He's also put just as many bad things on tape this year. And as a GM who wants to build a roster in his vision, you may not see fifth round guy that just got sacked 70 times as your centerpiece, face of your franchise. So if they decide we're drafting a quarterback, we're trading up, or we're going to take one at 4 or take one at 5, I'm good with that. Whatever decision football people decide to make, I'm going to live with that. Whether that's with or without Howell, regardless, Howell is here under contract for 2 more years, making pennies. So Howell's going to be here regardless of what we do. So I'm good with either decision, but just like Sam's put good on tape, he leads the league in picks. He's about to be sacked possibly the record amount of times this year, and a good amount of those sacks are on him as well. I like him. I like what he puts on tape. He has the potential to be a franchise quarterback. Will he be? I don't know. We'll see.
And who, if you had to pick the 3 biggest needs for the team right now, because I think we have a lot, but I mean, I think you have to kind of prioritize some things. What 3 positions would you like to see upgraded the most?
Just put the offensive line as one big position, because we need guys across the board there. We desperately need a cornerback that can cover and that can run, like simultaneously, can run and can cover, because our first round pick, I don't know about that right now. Benjamin St. Juste could not cover me, and Kendall Fuller's a free agent in the offseason. So the line, cornerback, and a linebacker. We need one linebacker worth a damn on the roster, because we haven't had one of those. Imagine your head coach and defensive coordinator were linebackers when they played football and have not selected one half-ass linebacker in their 4 years here in DC. So give me line, give me corner, give me linebacker, but that list can grow either longer, because we need a lot of everything, because we don't.
We need a lot of it, but I figure we have a certain number of picks, so we have to you have to triage and go somewhere first, and hopefully with free agency fill in some of those other holes. But
best player available. Don't pigeonhole yourself in rounds either. Like, we need blue chip players. We need players that can be all pro capable. We need players that are coveted league wide as a great player. Blue chip guys. Pick the best player available when you're on the board. We're going to have 5 picks in the top 100. Make them count, because Ron wasted a lot of draft picks here in 40.
Did he? Good Lord.
Sure. And my other
don't pick Caleb Williams, because he's ass.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I do too.
I disagree with that.
I think he's not. It's not going to translate to the pros. I just don't feel it. I don't feel it.
Which part?
I don't know. Just. It's something in my gut. This is me as a fan talking. Mm-hmm. I just don't see him translating to the pros. I would love to be wrong, especially if he comes to DC. I would love to be wrong, but just something about the aura of that kid, I just don't see his game translating to the pros.
The aura or the game? Because he's sensitive. He's sensitive. He's sensitive, and he's eccentric. He's arrogant. But the game, the tape speaks. It backs up that he's going to be like that in the league.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I might be in the minority on this one.
Yeah.
That tape looks as good as anybody that's come out in the last 6 or 7 years.
The college game is so different than the pro game, even though that there are times where I think that it's tried to get closer, and the SEC has has pretty good track record of creating players and stuff like that, but it's still some of these surprising me. Like when I'm a Tar Heel fan, I did not expect Howell to do this well. Adjusted. Comes from an ACC background. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just there's all these surprises. You think about Tom Brady is obviously the greatest example of that of all time. It's hard. Sometimes these low picks, come out and they're like, man, there's every year people want to redraft 10 years ago. Because it's all these surprises that happen, and so I can see it going either way. I don't know if Champ's right or wrong. It's just it's weird to me. It's hard. All these best players rarely are the best players in the pro, and then some of these there's some of these surprise picks, some of these undrafted people that come and show out. So
I'll tell you this. This is the same thing. The same thing that Champ is saying about Caleb Williams. They said the same thing about CJ Stroud. And I'm like, I don't know what y'all seeing. And then everybody want to act like they're surprised. Yeah, the people that don't study tape and don't know dick. I mean, if you're really paying attention, you know exactly what you're looking at. Anybody could have told you, but hey, we want to go by some Wonderlic test and all that nonsense.
The S1 cognitive aptitude test. Like, what are we talking about? Do you see what that boy did to Georgia?
I got to sneeze. Excuse me.
It's hard to know. I feel like any player has the capability to go into any other team and being like a superstar, and any superstar has the potential of coming to us and being nothing.
Snyder's gone, so it's possible now. It's possible.
Yeah, right. I hope so. That's what we need to do, is build a culture of a place that people want to come to play. And what sucks is I think that the players that were doing that was like Chase Young, and we got rid of. Like, he was kind of like that person being like, this is the place to come play, and it was never that. It never worked out.
But I think this place is now a place for people to come. I think people see this ownership. They understand what's in place right now. We're looking at stuff that was built by somebody else. And unfortunately, I feel like what happened with this delayed sell of the team was Dan Snyder's last stick. Because look at what's happening right here. I mean, there were a lot of things that we looked at and expected, for sure. I know a lot of us expected better, but at the end of the day, I'm also not surprised at what we're seeing. Look at the coaching staff and how many winning seasons does this guy have? What happened in Carolina? Look at the dumb decisions that is made, and the fact that he wants to be the big dang-a-lang in the room and doesn't allow anybody else to have a voice. It's great to have a bunch of nice guys on a football team, but I need like 5 DJ Swearingers.
I need some screws loose, right?
Yes. I need some buttholes on my team. Somebody that's going to call somebody out or get in the media scrum and say some crap about a coach not doing his job. That's what I need. And it's cool to have nice guys, but nice guys on teams fully don't go out and win ball games, especially when your coach is also a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm. We really need to wrap up this football segment, but can we talk about the shade that that Jay Gruden threw on Twitter?
Great.
This shade.
That was great. Jay was great.
And it's hard because I was sitting there at one point watching this Dolphins game thinking, how bad would it have to get for them to actually go back on their thing where we won't fire the coach until the end of the season? And
I think like the biggest reason why they're not firing him yet is because everyone's fate is sealed when January 8th comes around. Black Monday is going to hit, and it's going to be crickets in Ashburn.
But why not?
I don't think they have any interest in letting EB be the interim coach. I think that's another reason why.
Why though?
Because he stinks. It's not going to get
what's
better.
The difference?
But then if he stinks and you know it, and then you can say, hey, we gave him a shot, and he stinks, and then you move on.
But why give a guy a shot that people are already saying that they tired of hearing him cussing and they being too hard on us and this and that? You think you lost the team now? They put somebody else in there that people already don't like.
I bet Terry hates him.
I'm sure.
I bet Terry cannot stand Eric Bieniemy because everybody in the league has a number one target, a number one receiver. And the fact that the defense knows you have a number one guy, teams still get the ball to the number one guy. Yep. Eric Bieniemy cannot. Terry has 0 100-yard games in 13 weeks. 0.
That's crazy.
And that's partly on Terry, but that's partly on him.
Yeah.
I saw a meme.
How bad of a season he's having. It's just
I saw a meme that said that Terry McLaurin ran a lot of cardio on Sunday.
He said that in his press.
He said
those words. Christ. He said, I was out there running cardio yesterday because he knows this offense is very unserious. It's very much a joke, and it is part of the reason why they have 0 interest in seeing Eric Bieniemy interim head coach. The guy's been on 15 head coaching interviews and is 0 for 15 from the field. They're not interested in being the 16th.
That's crazy to me. I still, with all that being said, all that makes 100% to make sense to me. But why not at this point? Everyone's going anyway. Let's see what you got. I don't know.
My thing is that those two guys are one and the same. So why get rid of Ron to have the same guy that's just got a bigger mouth? Like, there's no use in that. And to me, to be honest with you, this is the junk. This is this big soupy poop full toilet that Ron Rivera put together, and he needs to ride this stink and all the way till the end right. and finish it. This is what you started. This is what you put together. You believe in talking about, well, if they just do what we tell them, well, then just keep doing what you've been doing and ride this stinky thing on out, and then you can pack your bags and get gone.
And he needs everybody
to
with
suffer. You. Exactly. He needs to suffer his consequences for the rest of the year. Don't get no easy out.
Man's riding up Schitt's Creek with no paddle.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
paddle boat, Ron?
I hate to do this because this has been so much fun, but we do have to end this segment because I get to talk about the Wizards next. But they do need some talking about. But I really, Rio, this has been so much fun. I really enjoyed having you on this show. I hope that everyone goes checks it out. I will have the links on my YouTube and on the other videos and audio podcasts and all that sort of stuff. But Rio, one last little shout out. What are you working on for this week, and what do you have coming up with after the bye?
Oh, it's bye week. I guess I'm probably going to start. It's so early for mock draft season. I might throw out a way too early mock draft this week. We might start talking about GM candidates for January and how we're going to cope with and get through these last 4 games of the regular season, because that's all it is at this point. We're just trying to get to January so we can start anew and better days await going forward, hopefully.
For sure. Well, this will probably be the last big football talk that we have of the year, and then we're coming back January 8th. By that time, the fate will have been sealed. You are always welcome to talk about the playoffs and stuff with us in January. You're always welcome to come back next season, and we can try to talk about a better season and then. But I really appreciate your time. I hope that people definitely check you out, and I hope that if there's any last parting words you want to say, go for it.
Hey, man, be strong, Washington faithful. Fans of all Washington fans, one day the tide will turn. The burgundy and gold will be prominent again. I say again, not knowing what it feels like myself, but stay strong, y'all.
I appreciate it so much.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah. All right. Dujane, let people know what's on your show this week.
Oh, man, it's going to be fun. We're going to have Top Fuel driver Justin Ashley on. PRI show is this week, so they're doing a lot of things with media and with sponsorships and whatnot. We're going to talk about his season pass. We're going to talk a little bit about what he's doing this offseason to prepare himself for the 2024 Mission Foods drag racing series next year. We are going to have Lou Holder on, the host of the Holder Hangout, and we're going to talk some Commanders, and we'll probably talk about a couple of big games as well in some of the teams that are at the top of their divisions and what it looks like going forward as far as playoffs go.
Yeah. Well, I hope that people definitely come in and check you out. I always enjoy the show. I did just give you a shout out live on Twitch. All the links are obviously on the YouTubes and all the different stuff. Facebook doesn't allow me to put lots of links on there anymore, so I'm going to stop doing that. But I really appreciate you and love your new show format. I appreciate you bringing Rio into our lives, and he's been fantastic on that segment. And so
yeah, he's good. He's good.
You for introducing me to him. And yeah, I mean, this next week will be the bye week, so not a whole lot to have you back on. We'll probably bring you back on January 8th. We can talk about the bowl game. I'm so sorry about Bama and everything with that. It looks like the report is that you guys are playing FSU, right?
Yes.
And that'll be an interesting game because it kind of tells me a lot. Whoever wins that game should have probably made it to the Final Four. Whoever loses it, it's probably just sour grapes, right?
Right.
So that should be interesting into itself because both teams kind of want to prove that they should have been there. I think that'll be one of the more exciting bowl games. Any quick thoughts that you have on that game versus Bama? I feel like you guys would have beaten them 9 out of 10 times.
Mike Bobo is the problem. Like, the play calling from Bobo was terrible. And I don't know if I'm Kirby Smart that I bring him back next year. It's been like that all season long. That's why Georgia has had slow starts in the first half. They had a slow start in this game, but there were just several times where just the play calling just didn't make sense. Made Bama look better than what they really are. And they really had no business being in the top four. It's disrespectful to FSU, and it breaks the precedence that was set last year when TCU got in. And if Alabama is in, then so should Georgia. You go from 1 to 6. If it was Bama at 1, daggone well they're not dropping further than 4. So I just don't understand it. It proves this committee is a joke. And the only good thing is that the playoffs will be expanding soon. So that's about
next
it.
year, I think it's the last year like this. So
yes.
They
probably still won't get it right, but you know what I mean? At least you have if you're a team that's, like a FSU or something like that, you at least have a better chance of trying to make the playoff. But this committee's a joke. They're about as big of a joke as the Hall of Fame committee.
So real quick, is it go to 6 or 12 or 8?
I believe it's
12.
It's 12.
It's 12.
Interesting. So top 2 get a bye, right?
Yep.
In that scenario, and then you or something like that. Is that right? Or top 4? No, top 4 must get
I think it's top 4. I saw a bracket broken down with this
top 4 get a bye whenever it's 12.
I think it's going to be very interesting because now you have a kind of an NFL style, playoff atmosphere that could happen. Some team at the bottom could get hot throughout those playoffs, and then you've got a top 4 team that's been sitting for a while may come up and get with that hot streak and may catch them napping a little bit or maybe coming in a little bit flat. So I'm really interested to see how all that plays out next year.
Yeah, I'm excited about the timing of that. We'll definitely cover that on season 9 of Sports on the Hill podcast. But yeah, it'll that'll be a fun one for sure. But Dujanay, it's been an exciting. I realize I haven't talked about Monday Night Football or never even turned it on. I was so distracted by this horrible hockey game. But I do want to give a quick little shout out to you for definitely coming on strong here on the fantasy, and it's going to be an interesting last couple of weeks for sure. So it'll be interesting.
It is.
Who comes out on top? I'm just looking at the score. I don't even know what the score is right now. Oh, it's tied 28-all with 4 minutes left in this game. I should put this on.
I think the Jags are going to find a way to lose this game. This should have been a statement game for them, and they're in a dogfight with the quarterback with the last name Browning.
Jake Browning. Remember the name.
So did yeah, interesting. Who did you have in this game?
I had Jacksonville winning this game.
I am looking at the wrong week. That would be helpful if I looked at the right week. Who did I have? I had the whole thing reset on me right when I was looking. Here we go. And I think I also had Jacksonville. But let's see. Yeah, I also had Jacksonville, but I don't know. Cincinnati's been sort of this team. Tim can, attest to it that they've kind of been this interesting team throughout this whole season, not knowing what you're going to get. They're 5-6. They'll probably end up, if they win it, 6-6. And so
right.
Anyway, all right. Well, Dujanay, thank you for being on the show. I know it was a little bit longer this week. We'll definitely have you back on to talk about maybe the results of the Bulls and the playoffs, and talk about the playoff format when we come back for the winter premiere of season 8 of Sports on the Hill podcast. But it's been, I would like to say, a fun season with the Commanders, but it's been tough at times. But I always appreciate getting to break it down with you, and I hope that you have a great holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year.
You too, man. Thank you, and you guys have a great rest of the show.
Thank you so much.